What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. We are just a few hours from the Gameweek 1 deadline, so I'm going to show you my final team selection. What's up everyone, welcome back. So as I mentioned in the introduction, I have finally decided on my team for Game Week 1, my captain, who I'm going to pick, who I'm going to start and who I'm going to bench. I'm going to walk you through all my selections and then the final captaincy and benchings at the end. So let's get straight into them. In goal, I'm starting with the Brighton double up. So Sanchez is the goalkeeper I've had in the majority of my drafts since the past couple of weeks, 4.5 million. Brighton have a really nice start to the season, so he's in there. They were good defensively last season, particularly from sort of an expected goals conceded point of view, and Steele seems the backup at the moment because the first choice backup is injured for the first sort of 5 or 6 game weeks. So I have the 4.5 starting goalkeeper as well as the backup in case something happens to Sanchez. So I really like that as a good set and forget goalkeeper combination for the first 6 or so game weeks. First up in the defence is the most highly owned player in the game at the moment, which is Luke Shaw of Manchester United. So 5.5 million is a great price for him. I only see his price going up and up as the season goes on. He has good clean sheet potential, especially with the opening fixtures and the potential signing as we've seen with Rafa Varane. But if we add that with the bonus points and attacking threat that he has at 5.5 million, I think he's an absolute steal. Next up, I have decided to go with Tsimikas of Liverpool. Now, 4 million was just too good to turn down. The first 2 fixtures against Norwich and Burnley, I will be playing him and I expect some returns out of him. A 4 mil left back for Liverpool, even if he does lose his place once Robertson comes back, it was too good to turn down for those 2 games to start the season, and I did consider going with Jota as an alternative, but I'm not too sure on how many minutes Jota will get at the start of the season with Firmino playing well in pre-season. So I've gone with other options in my midfield, which meant I had a spare Liverpool spot, and Tsimikas has taken that in the defence. Next up, 4.5 defender, we have Luke Ayling of Leeds. Really nice defence. They've shown that at the second half of last season, particularly at home, they were very good defensively. He rotates into my team well with another defender we'll get to in just a minute. So I hope that he can get some of those attacking returns that he showed at the end of last season. But 4.5 million is a really nice option. He rotates well. They're a good defence, so it's a bit of a no-brainer to have him as part of my rotating defenders. Next up, we have Trent Alexander of Liverpool. There was no team that I was going to make that wouldn't have this man in there. I think he'll be the highest scoring defender again this season. It is a lot to pay, the most expensive defender on the game, but 7.5 million with the likes of Van Dijk, Gomez coming back, their defence will be even more solid, and then that will also allow him to get further out the pitch and get more attacking returns than maybe he did last season as well. So they have a really nice opening start to the season, as does Tsimikas, so the 2 of them together will be my Liverpool double up for the first couple of games against Norwich and Burnley. I really like that. There's a lot of attacking return and explosive potential from the 2 of them. The final defender we have is Ben White of Arsenal. Finally, we've got a picture with him in an Arsenal shirt. He rotates very well with Ayling for the first few weeks after Tsimikas isn't going to play anymore. Arsenal were 3rd for the fewest goals conceded last season, so 4.5 million for Ben White, who's signed from Brighton, and I think he may have the possibility of making that Arsenal defence even stronger than it was last season. So I think 4.5 million is a bargain with him. He doesn't have that much goal threat, but their clean sheet and potentially bonus potential is definitely there with them. So 4.5 million to complete my 5-man defence is Ben White. Into the midfield, the first one we've got is my second Leeds player. So this was one of the positions up for debate, but I have gone with Rafinha. It has allowed me to save a little bit of money, and 6.5 million I just think is an absolute steal with them. Even against Manchester United in the first week, their fixtures afterwards are slightly easier, and I still think there's a good chance that Rafinha and Leeds score a goal in that match, and if they do, Rafinha is likely to be involved. 6.5 million is just such a bargain. He should have been 7 or even 7.5 million this season. With how long he's been in the league, he's only going to improve. He's on set pieces for Leeds, and I expect them to hit the ground running this season and have another good season. So Rafinha is the first sort of budget option in my midfield. Next to him, we have Mason Greenwood. Now, if any of you watched any of my other videos, I am such a fan of Mason Greenwood for 7.5 million. With Cavani out for the first 3 or 4 weeks, it does feel like Greenwood is going to nail down that either left wing spot, striker spot, or right wing spot, depending on where they play Sancho and Martial, but he will be in that front 3 for the first few game weeks, in my opinion. He showed last season what he can do if he gets a run in the team, and 7.5 million, I think he's got as many points in him as some of those 8, 9, 10 million options. So it's just whether he's going to start, but in my mind, those first 4 fixtures for Manchester United are very nice, and I can see Greenwood starting each and every one of them. Next up in my midfield is Mo Salah, 12.5 million. What an option he is. He's the most highly owned player outside of Shaw in the game. The best captaincy option for 4 of the first 6 game weeks. So he's in there. He will have my captaincy armband for the majority of those weeks. 12.5 million is a lot to spend, but he has been one of the highest scoring players in FPL, one of the highest goal scorers in the Premier League every season. And given the start to the season that Liverpool have, I think he'll hit the ground running, try and get off on the right foot with that golden boot race that he narrowly missed out on last season. He'll want to get it back, and being on penalties as well for Liverpool, he's always a good asset to own. He has so many routes to points as well. Next up, we have Brownhill, who is the 4.5 midfielder that I've gone with. Burnley have an okay run of fixtures. Brownhill will never get into my starting lineup unless he gets automatically subbed in off my bench. But he scored a couple of goals in pre-season. He plays almost every week. So Burnley do keep some clean sheets. So he will occasionally get that sort of 3-pointer instead of the 2 if he ever comes off my bench. But he's nailed to start, gets the occasional clean sheet point, the occasional attacking return. For me, he's the best 4.5 midfielder to be going with for the start of the season. The final midfielder we have is Bruno Fernandes of 12 million. Now, it almost went to Lukaku now that he's been announced as a player in FPL and has joined Chelsea. However, I'm just not sure whether Lukaku will be ready to start game week 1, so I have gone with Bruno Fernandes. He completes my Manchester United triple up in Shaw, Greenwood and Bruno to combine with my Liverpool triple up that we've got there. He's a good captaincy option for the weeks that I'm not going to captain Salah. He was a highest scoring FPL player last season, so even at 12 million, he's a good option to go with for the start of the season, given Manchester United have some of the best fixtures out of any team in the league. Up front, the first one we've got is Mikel Antonio of West Ham. So as time went on, I started to focus on West Ham having a really nice run of fixtures. Antonio's sort of points per 90 when he does start is really good, and I expect them to hit the ground running with those fixtures, including Newcastle in game week 1. We'll get onto the fixtures that they all have in just a minute, but 7.5 million for him. I almost went Callum Wilson. I do think he's another good option up front, but I think West Ham will score more goals than Newcastle will. So for now, Antonio is that 7.5 million option I've gone with up front. To combine with him, we've got Ivan Toney, 6.5 million. Really nice option, newly promoted. It's the only sort of gamble, I suppose, I've got in my team, but he is very highly owned. He was the main man at Brentford. He was involved in 50% of all the goals they scored, with 33 goals and about 10 assists last season, which is just a great return for a 6.5 mil option. I don't expect Brentford to do particularly well, but their team is just completely geared up to get Toney to score goals. And if he doesn't, then they will just struggle in the league this season. So he kind of has to perform if they want to have any chance at staying in the Premier League. So 6.5 million, he's gone in. They have an okay start to the season. Arsenal and Crystal Palace in the first 2. So it was kind of a no-brainer to help me free up a little bit of budget to spend elsewhere in my team. The final forward that we've got is Danny Ings of Aston Villa, coming in at 8 million. Now that we know that Buendia is fit, we also know that Bailey is back in training and Watkins is playing as well. That attack will be flowing, even maybe not game week 1 against Watford, but game weeks 2 and 3, they also have really nice fixtures. Danny Ings will likely be on penalties as well, because it will likely mean El Ghazi doesn't have room to start in that Aston Villa team, and Danny Ings is so clinical, so there was no chance out of all those Aston Villa attackers. Danny Ings, even though he's the most expensive, was definitely the one that was going into my team. So those are the 15 players that I've selected, but let's have a quick look at how I'll line up the captaincy, the fixtures that they've got, and the bench that I'll have as well. So this team does actually leave me with $500,000 in the bank, which is worth remembering. I could upgrade Rafinha to Harvey Barnes or do something else, but I really like having that spare money in the bank for the start of the season. It helps you be flexible at the beginning. You don't have to make really early transfers to get on board someone who's going to rise in price. So it really helped that I have that, and that's part of the reason I went Rafinha in midfield. In terms of the team selection, so I will be playing game week 1 as a 3-4-3. Sanchez in goal, Shaw, Tsimikas, Trent, Fernandes, Salah, Rafinha, Greenwood in my midfield, with Ings, Toney and Antonio all starting up front. In terms of those fixtures and the bench that we've got, Sanchez, Burnley away, Shaw with Leeds at home, as well as Fernandes and Greenwood there, Tsimikas away at Norwich with Trent and Salah, Rafinha with a potentially difficult fixture away at Manchester United, but as I mentioned, I still think Leeds can get a goal in that. Ings, Toney and Antonio all with decent fixtures as well. This does mean that I leave on my bench Steele, Brownhill, White and Ayling. Now, White does have Brentford, but seeing as I'm starting Ivan Toney, I do think they'll score, especially that it's at Brentford. With fans being back at the stadium, I do think I favour the home team slightly more, and away clean sheets might be a bit more difficult to come by. So that's why I've gone with Toney in my team and White on my bench. My vice captain for game week 1 will be Bruno Fernandes, and my captaincy will be on Mo Salah away to Norwich. So even though I do prefer a home fixture, I can't look past Salah away to Norwich in game week 1. So that is how my team lines up for the first game week of the season. If you have enjoyed all the preseason videos, please do hit that like button, but also subscribe. We are so close to hitting 10,000 subscribers by the start of the season. So if you could just help me get there, make sure you join the league code that is there. That is a prize league for subscribers only that is given out every month for whoever's done well that month. You don't have to have a good season, but just who's ever done well that month. So make sure you join that. But I really hope you have enjoyed all of this. I've loved making preseason. This is the last video before Game Week 1 deadline. Good luck in Game Week 1, everyone. Like and subscribe, and I will see you all very soon.